What's up, everyone? I'm DJ Hamilton, and you're tuned into the DJ Sports Show, where we give you the latest, greatest, and most exciting sports stories in the world of sports. From interviews to having people's stories heard and told. This is the DJ Sports Show. Let's get it! Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, DJ Hamilton, DJ Sports Show. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and share anybody you know who loves sports. And if you listen to audio platform, leave a 5-star rating and share anybody you know who loves sports. We are back with another episode. Need a little break to recharge. Might take another one soon because I've been doing a lot lately. But in this episode, I want to talk about the winners and losers of the NBA offseason thus far. As now that things have kind of settled down and marinated, we kind of know where some of the top guys are going in this offseason. We don't know what's going to happen with Giannis. That's the only domino left that hasn't been answered. But everybody else, we kind of already know where everything in the dust has settled on a lot of things. So I want to get into a few teams that I think are winners and some that I think are losers. First, we're going to start off with the winners, though. So one team I have in terms of one of the top winners in this offseason we cannot talk about without is the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets have been one of the biggest winners of this NBA offseason. You acquire Kevin Durant and you get Clint Capella, who returns back to becoming a Rocket once again like he did back in the James Harden days. A blockbuster 17 trade deal earlier this offseason. Kevin Durant, this is a team, you guys had a great young team last year, great young core. Defensively, you guys got after it. But one thing you guys kind of struggled with last season is scoring, especially in the crunch time. You were 22nd in fourth quarter scoring and in field goal percentage. You guys weren't the most efficient offensive team. Added in a guy like Kevin Durant, now who's considered by most people one of the greatest scorers of all time, and some even consider him the greatest scorer of all time. He has never averaged less than 20 points per game for his entire career. He's pretty much known for shooting over 50% from the field. Pretty much every season he's basically played in NBA. He's so efficient with the basketball. He has no wasted movements in his game. He averaged over 26.5 points per game last season, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists per game, and shot over 50% from the field, 40% from deep. So this is a guy, Kevin Durant. You add him with Amon Thompson, with Alperen Sengun, your young, booming big man who is one of the elite big men in the league in terms of offensively and his ability to create out the high post as a playmaker and for others. It's going to do wonders for their offense. And now he has a guy like Kevin Durant who can shoot the ball, spread the floor. I think it's going to take their offense and catapult them to another level. And then you still have Tari Eason on that team. You re-signed Fred VanVleet, a savvy veteran with championship DNA like Kevin Durant, who you declined his option earlier this season as a team option for $4.9 million, but you were signed to a 2-year, $50 million deal. He's a guy who can give you 15 a game, give you 5 assists. He's going to be a presence in the locker room, giving leadership to those young guys and advice on how to be and carry themselves on and off the court. And this is a guy who's won a championship with the Raptors back in 2019. He was a key part of their championship run along with Kawhi Leonard, giving to the Toronto Raptors their only championship in franchise history. But yeah, Kevin Durant's more of a guy who leads by example. I think Fred VanVleet will be a guy who kind of will be more verbal with the young guys. So I think that's something that's going to really help them. Yeah, Durant, I think their scoring woes in the crunch time, he's going to be very instrumental for them. I think it's going to help really take them to the next level. You extended Jabari Smith Jr. 5 years, $122 million contract. Keep him with the team through the 2031 season. He's a young cat. He's like a poor man's KD without the handle. He's kind of like Michael Porter Jr. a little bit. I don't think he's as good as Michael Porter Jr. scoring-wise, but I think defensively, he's a 6'10 wing who can guard the 1 through the 4, maybe some small ball 5s at the NBA level. He's going to be entering his 4th season in the NBA. He gets after it defensively. He's one of the best young defenders in the league. He's competitive. He's puts a lot of effort in, and he can shoot the ball too. So that's something. One thing this Rockets team is going to have is a lot of length. They have a lot of size. Jabari Smith Jr. 6'10", KD 7 foot. They re-signed Steven Adams. He's 7 foot, strong, burly body. He's a guy who's going to be big for them, setting screens, getting guys open, opening shots for Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith Jr., VanVleet, they signed Dorian Finney-Smith as well, another 3-and-D lockdown defender who could hit shots from the corner and from the outside to a 4-year, $53 million deal. They have all these gluts of wings on their roster and guys who are going to make them a very hard out in the Western Conference. And then you have Tari Eason as well. I know they traded away Cam Whitmore to the Washington Wizards. I would have loved to see him still on this team, but I think he's going to get more of an opportunity in Washington than he would on this Rockets team now that they have a lot of forwards on this roster and a lot of guys around 6'7" to like 6'10", 6'11" range. So this is a really good young roster. I think Reed Shepherd, he's going to take a big jump in his second season. They're going to be relying on him more now that Jalen Green is on the Phoenix Suns. That opens up a lot of minutes in rotation for him. They still have Aaron Holiday on this roster, another young, solid veteran guard who gets after it defensively, kind of like his brother, Drew Holiday. Like this roster right here, you don't want to see this roster in the postseason, especially if they get it clicking on all cylinders. Man, this is I think this will be one of the best defensive units in the league right here. Amon Thompson, Clint Capella, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason. Like, this is Dorian Finney-Smith. This is going to be of Aaron Holiday. Jashawn Tate plays hard and plays with a lot of infectious energy on defensive end. This is a really good roster. I think this is one of the better rosters. I think this roster, if they gel it all together, and if I see some more development from Sengun and Amon Thompson, especially with their shooting ability, man, this team can give OKC a run for their money with Kevin Durant in the fold, especially if KD stays healthy. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Houston, we have a problem. This team is going to be scary. So, yeah, I think this is definitely one of the biggest winners of the NBA offseason. Speaking of OKC, the reigning defending champions, we got to talk about them. And the next team in my NBA offseason winners. So we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. They re-signed their big trio that is going to be there for foreseeable future until the start of the next decade, the 2030-31 season. It's a big contract extensions in Shea, J-Dub, and Chet. SGA had a super max of $285 million for 4 years, which was the highest annual contract in NBA history until Devin Booker topped that, which we'll get into him a little bit later. J-Dub inked a 5-year, $287 million rookie extension. He had a career year last year, All-Star, All-NBA year. As a third-year player, he's a legitimate number 2. Now he has solidified himself as a legitimate number 2 for OKC Thunder for the foreseeable future. I think some people were comparing him to Scottie Pippen during the championship run, and I could kind of see the similarities in their game. I think J-Dub, though, Scottie Pippen was a great defender. J-Dub, I love him defensively. Scottie Pippen, to me, is considered, to me personally, I think he's the greatest perimeter defender of all time, up there with Kawhi Leonard in his prime. J-Dub is a really great defender, but I don't think he's on that level. But he is really good. Offensively, though, I think he's a little bit ahead of Scottie, especially at this age and stage of his career. I think he's going to be one day a guy who can give you 25 a game. He's not there yet, but he's getting closer. He's continuously gotten better every single season. So we have him and Shea, Shea's running mate, and J-Dub locked in for the next half decade at least. You guys have a really bright future. And then you lock in your big man, the hybrid forward center, Chet Holmgren, to a 5-year, $250 million rookie extension. I'm not sure if I would have gave him this extension early on, especially since he hasn't been named the All-Star, All-NBA player yet, or been named to All-Defensive Team or anything like that, due to have some injuries his first few seasons in NBA. But what we have seen from Chet is even when he's not going offensively, he's nowhere near where he's going to be in terms of his body and his game offensively. But what we saw during that postseason run, even when he was struggling offensively, he wasn't really efficient, he still was active defensively, getting after it on hustle plays, blocking shots, being a defensive anchor in the interior, and along with Hartenstein. And he was just altering a lot of shots at the rim. Defenders were thinking twice about wanting to go in there because Chet Holmgren was in there. He does need to continue to get stronger. Yes, that will come. But I think he's in for a big season next year. Now that he has a championship on his belt, I think he's going to come in with more confidence because he was playing at an all-star type level before he went down with that hip injury. If you were watching the Thunder early in the season, he was playing at an all-star type level before he went down with that hip injury. He was playing great basketball. Then a hip injury kind of slowed his progression, kind of held him back a little bit. And he even said he still is not nowhere where he wants to be. That hip injury slowed him down. So I expect him come out next year, now that he has that championship monkey off his back, I expect him to come out and prove that, yeah, he deserved that extension. Because I know some are saying they should have waited a little bit till next offseason to see if he really is an all-star type big. But I think with his competitiveness and his drive to want to be great, he's going to prove he was worth every cent of that $250 million. And he's with the team until the beginning of the next decade as well. So they have their big three trio locked up for the foreseeable future. And this is a shout out to Sam Presti, man. You don't make the same mistake twice. He learned from his mistakes from not signing James Harden in 2012, along with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. He said, I'm not going to allow that to happen again. We just won a championship. All these guys, none of them are even over 28 years old. Shea just turned 27. He's just in the prime of his career, at the peak of his powers. J-Dub and Chet are still a few years away from even entering their prime. And they're still becoming better, more polished players. They're not even near where they're going to potentially be and how good they're going to become. So, and J-Dub's just getting started. I think J-Dub could get to even another level. And then Chet offensively, I think he could get way better. He's so much room for growth. And then defensively, he's going to get better too as he gets stronger. So and then one thing also as well, a lot of people were talking about, the second apron and all that. Yes, but they have a lot of their key role guys already locked up for the next at least 2 seasons through 2026-27. Hartenstein, Caruso, and Lundor are all on the contract through at least the 2026-27 season. So they have a lot of their key rotational guys locked up, which is very key for this team. So they're still going to have a lot of depth going forward. And who knows? We'll see what Nikola Topic turns into, because Summer League, he's looked pretty good. That 6'5" point guard rookie who they drafted last year in the 2024 draft. I know he's coming back from injury, starting to get his legs under him. But we can see what he adds to the table once he really gets into rhythm and back into the flow of playing basketball. I think he's going to be really good, a backup point guard, especially when Shea or J-Dub needs a breather. Yeah, this team is like 9-10 men deep. I didn't even mention Isaiah Joe, who they have locked up for the next few years as well. Like this team is like 8-9-10 men deep. And that's what you want in championship contender, especially once you get to the playoffs. You want a really good 8 to 9 man rotation. And that's what OKC Thunder have for at least the next few seasons. So the Western Conference, watch out, because they're not even near where how good they're gonna be, because J-Dub and Chet, I expect them to get even better. Watch out, NBA. Now let's go to the Eastern Conference a little bit. I want to talk about the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, this is the one team I think is gonna, I think the one reason they're a winner is they didn't get a big name or anything like that. They added depth to their bench. Jordan Clarkson, Gershon Yabusele. Jordan Clarkson is a former Sixth Man of the Year. He's a microwave off the bench. Scorer, can get hot quick. He can shoot from the 3-point range. Has a midi game, can score at the rim. He's a guy who I think could come in when OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, because he plays a shooting guard position, something like that. When they need a breather, he can provide instant scoring off the bench. Or when Jalen Brunson needs a break and you need a guy who, come off the bench and give you that punch in that second unit, that's Jordan Clarkson. I think Jordan Clarkson is going to be instrumental for them next season, especially with a diluted Eastern Conference next year. The Celtics are injured with Jason Tatum out with a torn Achilles, and they pretty much overhauled their roster ever since that Achilles injury. That was the domino effect and drop for everything that followed. Drew Holiday being traded, Kristaps Porzingis, etc. They said it's the end of an era. We're gonna revamp around the Celtics, around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So, and then you also have Halliburton out with Achilles. So, if I'm the Knicks, this is your year to go all in on get that depth, because next year East Conference, it's wide open. The Celtics and Bucks, the teams that were pretty much at the forefront of the East over the last half decade, they're kind of going to take a back seat next season. And we're going to get into the Bucks a little bit later, because they're one of my losers of the offseason. And then you also signed Gershon Yabusele, who was very key for the Sixers last season with Embiid being out, especially for majority of the season with injuries. Gershon Yabusele shot 50% from the field last year, and he was very efficient from 3 as well. He's a big, burly, small ball 4. Can maybe play a little small ball 5, but mostly a 4, around 6'7", 6'8" range. His stock really rose in that 2024 Olympics in France last summer. and he has continued to capitalize and build his value even more since. I think he's going to be credible for New York. And we want to see if the Knicks still sign Precious Achiuwa, because as I'm speaking right now, on this Sunday, he's still a free agent. They still haven't signed him, but there's signs pointing that he is going to sign back with the Knicks. So even if they don't, having Yabusele gives him that kind of insurance policy. He's a guy who gets after it defensively. He's a really good, strong, low post defender. He has a built NBA frame, chiseled frame, broad shoulders, a lot of girth to him. And I think he's going to be really instrumental for the Knicks defensively. And yeah, this is a Knicks team. Now you have a good starting five, but now you have two key guys off your bench. Well, really three, because let me not forget Deuce McBride. So you have three guys you can rely on coming off your bench as well. And so that to me, that's what's going to make the Knicks, what's going to separate them coming in next season. If they can have the season they had this year, but with more added bench depth to not overexert their starters and have them so gassed and tired and spent by the time you get to the postseason, especially if you make a deep postseason run, that's what's going to allow them to be more energetic, more refreshed, especially when you get to the deeper postseason runs, to have more energy for guys like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. So you don't see them break down, especially like Karl-Anthony Towns with his knee injury he had later in the postseason that we saw this year. You don't want those things to happen, because although at mileage during the regular season adds up once you get to the later in this regular season, and then once you enter the postseason as well. All those minutes of mileage add up. So you want to try to keep them as fresh as you can during the regular season, still win games and things of that nature. But you want to make sure you utilize different units off the bench, play with different lineups, and see what you got, which lineups are best for what. So when the postseason comes, you can utilize those weapons. And then you have a new head coach as well. You hired a 2023 NBA Coach of the Year, Mike Brown, who uplifted that Kings team that like the Beam era with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. I think he's going to be great for them. And I think he's just going to take things to the next level. I feel like Tom Thibodeau got the short end of the stick. I know that's business. But, hey, Mike Brown's a really good coach himself. I think the Knicks and the Cavaliers are probably going to run the Eastern Conference next season, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, I think those teams are going to be at the top of these conference. And then I just want to mention the Atlanta Hawks as well. Traded for Porzingis. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You got some good pieces this offseason. Trae Young, I think now that he has some help, this is gonna Jalen Johnson. I want to see how much improvement he makes. He had a really good year before he got hurt. You had Asa Newell, the rookie power forward, who's a really good rebounder, energetic guy, gives you size up front. Outside of Porzingis, Zachary Rissaker, I want to see how you take your game to the next level. Luke Kennard, you have some shooting. Yeah, this is a Hawks team with a lot of injuries next season in the NBA. I want to see them around the 4 to 5 range. I expect them to at least make the second round of the playoffs. Now that the Celtics and Bucks are going to be trending on the downward side of the East next season, I expect the Hawks to be rising up in value. And I'm really bullish on the Hawks next season. I think Trae Young, with the pieces around him, the young guys, I think they're going to take the next step. Dyson Daniels, this guy is a thief in the night. Like over 3 steals per game last season. This guy, I expect him to continue to get better. He's one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. One of the best perimeter defenders we've kind of seen in a long time for a young guy. I want to see how he continues to develop his game. But yeah, now they add Porzingis. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. That's always a question mark. But I expect the Hawks to be on the rise up in the East Conference, especially in a weaker East next year in the NBA. So yeah, those are some of my winners. Oh, let me not forget this one more team, the Denver Nuggets. They didn't make no big splashy move. Well, you could probably say it, but they did trade for Jonas Valanciunas. We're going to see if he eventually does end up coming with the Nuggets because, so it's official. They have acquired Jonas Valanciunas because they were conflicting reports he might play overseas as I'm here searching up his name. But yeah, Jonas Valanciunas, they have acquired and trade. I think this is big for the Nuggets because you don't want to overexert. Even though he could play a lot of minutes, we've seen him doing it out of his career, Nikola Jokic. But you want to kind of give him a breather sometimes so he could be fresh during the late parts of the game and especially in the postseason when the intensity ratchets up. You want a guy who come in that second unit, who's a double-double machine, which he has proven in his career. Jonas Valanciunas, who has stretched his game out over the years, being able to shoot the 3 ball, very efficient. He's a big body down there, takes up a lot of space, and he has a lot of good low post moves. He has a little bag to him as well. So I think that's a really good key pickup for the Denver Nuggets. I know they traded away Michael Porter Jr. That sucks, but they did get Cam Johnson from Brooklyn Nets as well. Who I think kind of make up for that loss, Michael Porter Jr. He pretty much brings the same production level and productivity that MPJ gave to them. So Cam Johnson, I think, is even a better defender than MPJ was last year for the Brooklyn Nets. He averaged over 18 points per game, shot 47.5% from the field. This guy can 6'8", so I think he can guard from the 1 through the 3 and maybe some small ball 4s. So yeah, the Denver Nuggets, man, they're going to be good, and they signed Bruce Brown back, who was part of that 2023 championship team. I think the Denver Nuggets are a team to watch out for next season. And honestly, if I had to say my top 3 teams in the West next year, I think it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, you got the Houston Rockets, and the Denver Nuggets. I expect those 3 teams to be sitting atop the Western Conference. I like the depth on all those teams, excuse me. And I like their top superstars. You got Kevin Durant of the Rockets, and you have Sengun right after him. I like the two-headed monster they have there. OKC got their big 3, Shea and J-Dub. And then Chet, I think, is going to take the next step next year and become an NBA All-Star and All-NBA player or All-Defensive player as well. And then you have the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. And then now you have Aaron Gordon, who his value rose in the playoffs. He showed why he's so valuable. And then now you have a guy in Valanciunas who's a reliable double-double machine when he's at his best and can stretch the floor. I like this roster. And then you have Cam Johnson as well, who can add depth to your bench. And you have Bruce Brown. Man, and then you have, what's his name, Christian Brown, who's your starter, who's continuously getting better. Well, he was definitely in the running for most improved last season. He was definitely one of the most improved players in the NBA last year. So, yeah, this is a Denver Nuggets team who is going to be I feel like this is a team people might sleep on next year, but I don't think you should. I don't think you should. So, yeah, Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, with a better talented roster coming this season than he had last year. They said it was time for a fresh start outside of MPJ, Gordon, Murray, and Jokic. Let's change it up a little bit because obviously he's not working anymore. So they traded away Porter. I knew it was going to be either Murray or Porter or Gordon, one of those guys. So it ended up being Porter. So now we'll see what they do next season with much more better depth on their bench, off their bench. And yeah. All right, now let's get to the losers. So I only have like 2 or 3 teams I really want to mention. The first loser, Phoenix Suns. So you lose Kevin Durant, and you guys have no point guard on your roster. That has basically, as of right now, 3 scorers, Booker, Beal, and Jalen Green. There's been a lot of reports and rumors. Bradley Beal's looking to get a buyout with the Suns, so we'll see if that happens. But as of right now, as we're recording this, he's still a part of the Phoenix Suns. And then you have a glut of centers who kind of are old school centers who are not floor spacers. Nick Richards, you acquire Mark Williams from the Charlotte Hornets, and you draft Haman Maluach in the draft. Can either one of them play together at the court at the same time? I don't think so. I just didn't think that was kind of logical to do that. I know you went from a team that had no centers basically outside of Nurkic really last year and stuff like that for a while. And then now you have too many centers that don't really mesh well or make sense. So, and is it time to trade Devin Booker? He signed a 2-year, $145 million extension. And it's the largest annual salary in NBA history. So it surpassed Shai Alexander's recent Supermax. Booker, I know he loves Phoenix, but I'm like, did he sign that deal? And then he's going to have to get traded maybe next season in the winter or around the trade deadline? Or is he going to stick it out and try to become the Reggie Miller of the Phoenix Suns? Because if I'm him, you got to look at the situation like, okay, Jalen Green, come on, Maluach, Nick, these guys are all really young. I mean, he's still young too. He's 20, he's going to be 29. But man, Booker, time goes fast in NBA. Look, I remember when he first came in, he was the youngest player in the league, 18. He wasn't even 19 yet when he first came in. He was 18, 19 years old, bro. He turned 19, I think, the day he started his NBA debut, I believe. And now look, you're 29 now. Ever since Chris Paul got traded, and you guys made that 2021 Finals run, it's just been downhill from there. I mean, you guys have, especially since Chris Paul got traded, you either missed the playoffs or gotten bounced in the first round. You got to really look at the situation now that Kevin Durant's gone. You got to look at the parts around you. You got to say, okay, this roster ain't really going nowhere, especially in the West where it's loaded. And you have teams at the top like young cores coming, like the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, and that crew. And then you have the Rockets, they have the young crew, and they had Kevin Durant. OKC ain't going nowhere. The Warriors are still going to be solid. The Lakers, they're still going to be solid with Luka and the company. LeBron is still good, so he'll be there for at least the short term, a year or two. But the Suns, they're kind of heading, I feel like, in a rebuild direction. But they're still trying to keep on the Booker to still make them relevant. I just don't think that's going to work. I think Booker is going to have to ask for a trade because I don't see this team winning or even make them play in. I'm going to be honest. I just don't see it. Not in the West. If they were in the East, maybe they have a chance, but not in the Western Conference. And they have no true point guard. I mean, this team doesn't mesh well. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. The pieces of the puzzle aren't fitting when I'm looking at this team. And I think it's time for Booker to request a trade from the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if he will, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he's happy with his money and he loves Phoenix so much it doesn't matter if he wins or not. But if he cares about his legacy and want to take it to the next level, wants to be remembered as a winner, I think he's going to be a guy who eventually is going to ask for a trade and want to go to somewhere where he has a legitimate chance to win a championship. The next loser I have is New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, what are you guys doing? You trade away your 2026 pick unprotected, not top 10 or top, unprotected fully in a draft that's expected to be one of the best drafts. Some people are calling it generational. I don't know. We'll see, but it's a draft that many people are saying is better than this year's class. And this year's class was not shabby. Many people are saying this draft might be the best draft of this decade, the 2026 class. And you trade your pick unprotected when you're not even considered to be competitive in the West next year, and you guys decide to do that, so your pick is going to be very valuable. And you have a franchise star who can never stay healthy in Zion Williamson, I'm rooting for Zion. I've been rooting for Zion. I've been watching him since he was in high school. I've been watching Zion since he was a junior, sophomore in high school. I've been watching him for like a decade now, 9 years. And I'm rooting for the guy. I watched him during his high school years, Duke. I've been following his journey. It just sucks. Injuries have been dampering and hampering his career. And I want to see him reach his full potential. But when you have your franchise star who's always basically injured and unreliable, and then you go trade your 2026 pick in a draft that's considered to be really good, unprotected, fully, that's not smart. Joe Dumars, what are you doing? This is kind of a reason why many people didn't like him as a GM when he was with the Detroit Pistons, because you drafted Darko over Carmelo Anthony. You drafted Darko over Dwayne Wade, over Chris Bosh. These are the decisions that make me shake my head of some of these decision makers in the front office, because what are you doing? That was not a smart thing. And Derek Queen, he kind of has the same weaknesses as Zion Williamson in terms of questions about his conditioning and as a defender. And he's not even as explosive as Zion. So I'm kind of worried about that. A big guy like that, young kid who's coming to New Orleans where they have all this food, I hope he has good veteran leadership, because I don't want him to balloon and get too big and have injury issues, and then you guys continue to have the injury bug, because this team has so much talent. It's had so much talent throughout the years, just haven't been able to stay healthy and see it marinate and see how it could blossom. And it's been disappointing. It's been disappointing to say the least. But yeah, this Pelicans team, I don't know what you guys are doing. It makes me scratch my head. But if I'm Zion, you need to get right, man, because the clock is ticking, man. I mean, I thought he would have been all NBA by now, but injuries. But yeah, if he could be healthy and a lot of the key guys could be healthy, maybe they could be a sneaking playing team, and that 2026 pick is not as valuable. But we'll see. We'll see. And then the last team I want to talk about is losers, is the Milwaukee Bucks, man. I mean, you waive Damian Lillard and you still have to pay him his contract. You stretch out his contract for the next 4 years, I believe it was, and $113 million you still owe him. That was not a smart decision. And you did that to clear up cap space, to sign Miles Turner, who struggled in the postseason, in the finals. Did you guys watch him play? He did that for Miles Turner, who was not really a big factor for the Indiana Pacers. That's just me. He's still going to owe Damian Lillard. So, full details of this. So, they waived Lillard and stretched out his contract over the next 5 years, not 3, 5. $22 million in dead money. So, Lillard's still going to get his money. And I kind of think they did him dirty. This is a guy who sacrificed his body. He was ready, had the calf injury, and he kind of worked his way back in the postseason to come play for your organization and try to make a run. And then he blows his Achilles in the playoffs against the Indiana Pacers. And then you guys to do him like this, to waive him and release him, that's crazy. And Giannis didn't know about it either. He wasn't informed that they were going to do this. That shows you how cold and heartless corporate businesses are in America, in the world. They don't care. What you've done for them is what you've done for them lately. And this was one of the culprits of that. Damian Lillard, I think he's now going to rehab. I don't know if he's going to rehab back home in Portland, where he has his home. There's been rumors he could go to teams maybe like the Miami Heat or the Golden State Warriors or even back to the Blazers. Yeah, we'll see where he ends up. But if he does, whatever team he goes to, he's either going to rehab there or he's going to stay in Portland and rehab. It's up to him. But yeah, how they did him was dirty. And now you're the Bucks. Look at your roster. Well, honestly, this might be one of the more mediocre rosters in the entire association. Outside of Giannis, this is their roster. Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Porter Jr. at their starting point guard. AJ Green, good shooter and all that, but come on, as a starter. Bobby Portis Jr. forward, he's solid off the bench. Taurean Prince, Gary Trent Jr., the guy who cost them that game 4, I believe, or game 5 against the Pacers. That was, oh man, that was heartbreaking. Andre Jackson Jr., Ryan Rollins, this is your roster? This is your roster. And Miles Turner. This is your roster? You expect this to do anything? I know you might be in the East, but you ain't going far with that, buddy. That is a play-in team, if even. Or a first-round exit, easily. That, Giannis, you need to get out of there, buddy. Get out of that jail. He needs to get out of there. But Giannis, he did say he doesn't know if he's going to leave. For sure, yeah. He's going to make a decision by August, September. But, yeah, he doesn't have a realistic chance of winning in Milwaukee. The decisions that the front office has made over the years, trading away Drew Holiday, you waive Damian Lillard. Middleton, I know the injury's okay. I can understand that. Want to move on. But to trade him for Kyle Kuzma, who pretty much is nowhere near a valuable player anymore, doesn't know how to play winning basketball, he's not impactful whatsoever, that's question mark, if I'm honest, in the Kumpo. And to waive Damian Lillard without informing me you were going to waive Damian Lillard beforehand, as the franchise guy, as the heart of the city, that's a red flag. If I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo, I'm looking to get out of Milwaukee because it's not a favorable situation, and they don't even have their own favorable draft picks that they could build upon. They have no young, exciting talent that they can say, "Oh yeah, we have this young talent who could help Giannis by next year or 2 years from now." They don't even have that guy, so it's like you don't even have a future asset, and you don't have a guy who could help him right now. So that's something that's just, if I'm honest, if I'm telling the Bucks organization, hey, I love it. I've enjoyed my 12 years here playing. I've given my all to the city, done everything I can, but I think it's time to move on. And that's just me. But Giannis is very loyal to the soil type of dude, and I respect that about him. And I respect that about his old school type mentality. He wants to be a one-man team, like playing for one organization, like the Kobe's, the Dirks, the Tim Duncans, the Stephen Currys, and even Nikola Jokic right now with Denver Nuggets, been there his whole career. But he might have to really sit down and really like look at the situation, everything, pros and cons, because right now there's more cons than pros. So, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's kind of my spew. Just getting back to doing a little quick episode. I know I messed up a little bit in this, but hey, like human is trying to get better. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Were the biggest NBA offseason winners or losers? Who you think will take the title next year? Due to the moves they made this offseason? And yeah, just let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and continue to show support on the brand, show support on the podcast, like, share, subscribe, and share anybody you know who loves sports. Yeah, I'm your host, DJ Hamilton, DJ Sports Show, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a great day. Peace.